Hello guys and gals, this is going to be another episode of the Fables of Leonardo da Vinci. We are on part 10. I had to double check. I didn't double check my last video and I ended up one chapter ahead, which was like, okay, that's going to be hard to fix. Anyways, as always, we are going to go over some copyright information here. These are indeed fables by Leonardo da Vinci. They are interpreted and transcribed by Bruno Nardini, introduction by Margaret Meeks, which we covered in another video. And it's illustrated by Adriana Savoisi Mazza, and I'm sorry if I'm not very good with pronouncing that name. These pictures are taken from The Bramble, which is what we read in the last video from this one. In that one, we read The Ant and the Grain of Wheat, The Stream, The Bramble, which is aforementioned, and The Wolf. Now, so we are going to start this one with the fable called The Net. And it isn't the internet because they didn't have that way back then. Okay, so we have The Net here. It's from the fable AR 42V, and that is like the Atlantic. That's Milan, if I remember right, Milan, Italy is where this transcription is actually from. So here we go with The Net. That day, like every other day, the net came up full of fish: carp, barbel, lamprey, roach, tench, eel, and many, many others ended up in the fisherman's basket. Deep down in the water of the river, the survivors, frightened and dismayed, did not dare to move. Whole families had already been sent to market. Entire shoals had fallen into the net and finished up in the frying pan. What was to be done? A few young gudgeons met behind a rock and decided to rebel. It's a matter of life and death, they said. This net goes down into the water every day in a different place every time, to take us prisoner and snatch us from our homes. It wants to kill us all, and the river will be empty of fish. Our children have a right to live, and we must do something to save them from this scourge. And what can we do? Asked a tench who had followed the conspirators. Destroy the net, replied the young gudgeons with one voice. The wriggling eel swiftly carried the news of the brave decision along the river, inviting all the fish to meet the following morning in an inlet protected by the tall willows. The next day, millions of fish of all sizes and all ages met together to declare war on the net. The leadership of the operation was entrusted to a clever old carp, who had twice succeeded escaping from prison by biting through the meshes of the net. Listen carefully, said the carp. The net is as wide as the river, and every mesh has a lead weight on the underside to pull it down to the bottom. Divide yourselves into two groups. One group will lift the lead weights and carry them up to the surface, and the other group will hold the meshes very firmly from above. The lampreys will serve with their teeth will sever with their teeth the cords that hold the net stretched between the two banks. The eels will make an immediate... Okay. And there's a picture of the various fish destroying the net, apparently. This is one of the more impressive pictures. Okay, now what was the last word that was said? The eels will make an immediate... I believe that the term is immediate. Let's see. Okay. Immediate reconnaissance and tell us where the net has been cast. The eels went off. The fish formed up in their groups along the margins. The gudgeons encouraged the more timid ones, reminding them of the sad end of many of their friends, and exhorting them to not be afraid of remaining entangled in the net, because no man would now be able to draw it to the bank. The eel scouts returned. The net had been cast and was now a mile away. Then all the fish, like a huge fleet, set sail behind the old carp. "Take care," said the carp. "The current could drag you into the net. Slow down and use your fins well." Oh. And the net appeared gray and sinister. The fish, overcome by a sudden furious rage, swam to the attack. The net was raised from the bottom. The ropes that held it were severed. The meshes were torn apart, but the infuriated fish would not let go of their prey. Each one of them held their piece of mesh in their mouth and furiously waved fins and tail. They pulled in every direction to tear and destroy the net, and the water seemed to boil as the fish made their river free from danger at last. They took a stand, and they broke up their oppressor, I guess, the net. Okay, this is the Clematis by it's from Fable. ATL is the Atlantic code in Milan, Italy, page 67. In the shade of the hedge, the Clematis twined its green arms around the trunk and branches of the hawthorn. When it reached the top, it looked around and saw another hedge bordering the other side of the road. "Oh, how I should love to go over there," said the Clematis. "That hedge is bigger and more beautiful than this one." And a little at a time, stretching out its arms, it crept closer and closer to the opposite hedge. As at last it reached it, caught one of the branches, and began happily wrapping itself there. But shortly thereafter, travelers walking along the road were suddenly faced with this branch of Clematis blocking their way. They seized it in their hands, tore it from the hedge, and flung it into the ditch. In its greed, the Clematis had not seen the danger. That makes sense. It was greedy, and it paid the price. Okay, now we have the butterfly and the flame. It's from the Fable Atlantic Code 257 R and B, Atlantic Code 67. Okay. So, it says, a multicolored butterfly was flying aimlessly through the dark one evening when he saw a point of light in the distance. At once he flew in that direction, and when he came near the flame, he fluttered around it, looking at it with wonder. How beautiful it was! Not content with admiring it, the butterfly thought it would do what he did with fragrant flowers. He flew away, flew back, and bravely made for the flame and skimmed over it. He found himself lying stunned beneath the light, and was stupefied to see that the points of his wings were singed. What happened to me, he wondered, but could find no reason. He could not possibly believe that a thing as beautiful as that flame could do him any harm. And so, after gathering a little strength, he shook his wings and took a flight once more. He circled a little and again made for the flame, intending to settle on it. And at once he fell burned into the oil that fed the bright little flame. "Accursed light," murmured the dying butterfly. "I thought I should find happiness in you, and instead I have found death. I regret my foolish longing, and I realized too late, and to my undoing, how dangerous you were." "Poor butterfly," replied the flame, "I am not the sun. Are you so foolish as you so foolishly thought? I am only a light, and those who cannot approach me prudently are burned." The fable is meant for those who, like the butterfly, are attracted by worldly pleasures without knowing their true nature. Then by the time they realize what they have lost, it is already too late. Okay, let's see what else we have in here. I think it's the Ermine. We'll probably read this one, and then maybe the Flea and the sheep. I don't know, that sheep looks kind of cool. The Ermine. A fox was having a meal when an elegant ermine passed by. "Would you care to help yourself?" invited the fox, who had eaten enough. "No, thank you," replied the ermine. "I have already eaten." "Ha ha," laughed the fox. "You ermines are the most prudish animals in the world. You eat only once a day, and you would go without rather than dirty your fur." At that moment some hunters came up. The fox, quick as lightning, hid underground, and the ermine, no less swift than the fox, ran for his den. But the sun had melted the snow, and his den had become a quagmire. The snow-white Ermine was afraid of slipping into the mud and stopped hesitant. And the hunters caught him, obviously. Moderation checks all vices. The Ermine was too vain about his appearance and so lost his liberty. And we are going to finish this off with one more, with the Flea and the Sheep. Let me see, how many have we read today? We read the Net. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be number 5. That's fine. The Flea and the Sheep. It is from Atlantic Code, so Milan, Italy. Page 119. A flea who lived in the smooth hair of a dog one day noticed the pleasant smell of wool. What is going on? He gave a little jump and saw that the dog had gone to sleep leaning against the fleece of a sheep. That fleece is exactly what I need, said the flea. It is thicker and softer and above all safer. There is no risk of meeting the dog's claws and teeth, which go in search of me every now and then, and the sheep's wool will certainly feel more pleasant. So without thinking too much about it, the flea moved house, leaping from the dog's coat to the sheep's fleece. But the wool was thick, so thick and dense that it was not easy to penetrate to the skin. He tried and tried, patiently separating one strand from another and laboriously making his way through, at last reaching the root of the hair. But they were so close together that they practically touched. The flea had not even a tiny hole through which to attack the skin. Tired, bathed in sweat, and bitterly disappointed, the flea resigned himself to going back to the dog, but the dog had gone away. Poor flea, he wept for days and days with regret for his mistake. The grass is always greener on the other side. Anyways, in the next one we will probably read, we'll definitely read the peacock. Yeah, we'll read the water, the peasant and the vine, the stone and the steel, the peacock, and probably maybe the miser and the bull. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We have been reading from the Fables of Leonardo Da Vinci. If you like this book or this series, then make sure that you hit like and that you subscribe. And that you ring the bell so you know when I upload. That being said, all the information will be in the description that you need to know. And with that, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.